Carl here for Homemade Strength. Today, DIY fat grips. I'm going to show you how to make these after this brief introduction. Just want to show you the finished product. It's just like a fat grip. You open it, slide it on the bar. It's 100% duct tape, so it's super cheap. So incompressible there. It's not space age, state-of-the-art rubber, but it only costs like $3 for this, so I think you'll be okay with that. It's going to work really well. This one has masking tape on it. This one will soon, as soon as I find my masking tape. That's just to give it a little bit more grip. You don't necessarily need that, but it's a good trick, a cheap way. If you feel this is too slippery, even with chalk, wrap it in some masking tape and you'll be good to go. That's the cheap way to go about it. In terms of price, you're going to need about 110 yards of duct tape. That'd be 100 meters. I bought 55-yard rolls. I needed just shy of 2 of them. So you need about a roll per fat grip. And mine are 2 1/8 inch diameter. So if you're going even thicker, you might need more. But if you do this, I think the actual fat grips are like 2 1/4. So if you want to do that, you'll probably need about 110 yards, 100 meters of duct tape. For me, that cost $3 a roll, and I needed 2 rolls, so that's $6. I had the masking tape. If you didn't, that'd be another $1 or $2. So you're definitely looking at less than $10 compared to, what is it, 30 or 40? By the time it's shipped, might be like 40. So you're getting away for under $10. It's going to function pretty much exactly the same. So the only other material you will need, besides the duct tape and masking tape, would be either a paper towel roll or two toilet paper rolls. I'm sure you have those at home, at the very least the toilet paper rolls. So that will be free. In terms of tools, a hacksaw is useful, as well as either vice grips or pliers, and scissors you will definitely need, but I'm sure you have those. And I found, this is basically a standard pocket knife, but I found this to be really good for cutting the duct tape, cutting the, the whole slit down it. And I'll show you how to do this, but basically you score it with the hacksaw. You could cut all the way through if you wanted, but I scored with the hacksaw, and then I used the serrated portion of this to chop through, and that worked amazingly well. So if you have one of these, definitely use that. I think that's it for tools. But yeah, they're pretty cool. I'm really liking them. That's what they look like. They function just like fat grips, basically. Under $10. Let's get started and show you how to do it. We're going to use duct tape for the entire project, and then we're just going to start with oh, here's what I'm starting with. This came out of a roll of masking paper. You can get that at the hardware store, and this ends up being like the perfect size of my bar. If you don't have that, and you don't want to spend, the $1.50 to get that roll of paper just for that, just take a paper towel roll. If you don't have a paper towel roll, you most certainly have toilet paper roll. And toilet paper roll won't be long enough, so you probably have to tape 2 together to make it longer. So this is what you do with the paper towel to get something that mimics the diameter of your bar. I'm going to cut this paper towel roll about 6.5 inches. It's going to be a little longer than what I'm using, but that's a good thing. Mine's a little short, but I make do. And then let's go over to that first. Before we do that, cut it down the lengthwise. You're just going to take the paper towel roll, wrap it around your bar, wrap it down nice and tight and even when you have two hands, and then mark mark along that edge right there, which I will do now. Hold on. Alright, so I have my line here, and now I'm just gonna trim this down. You know what, actually let's not trim it. Let's not trim that. Let's do this instead. Let's just roll it up. I already trimmed a little bit, don't tell anyone. It's okay, I'm not using this anyway, but just line it up there and then put your tape on it. No need to trim. You don't gotta trim. That was a bad idea. Of course. Try to avoid that when you do it. But I don't really care because I'm not using this one. If you can sprout an extra hand, that would be useful for doing this. Alright, so you get the idea. Now you have your roll, made of paper towel roll or toilet paper roll. I'm going to be using this one. It's a little bit sturdier, a little bit thicker on this one, but this will work just as fine. Alright, DIY fat grips. Start with your roll and a roll of duct tape. First thing we need to do is put a coating of this sticky side out. So we are just going to cut off the length of tape there. Again, sticky side facing out. We are just going to cover the whole roll. Sticky side is a little hard to work with. Try to stay in frame here. Alright, so we're just going to repeat that until we cover this whole roll, about 6.5 inches. And overlap at least 1/4 inch so everything's stuck together here. Alright, so we got one layer, sticky side out. That's all we really need. Don't have to fuss too much about it. Now we are going to put a sticky side down. We're going to go this way and wrap it like that. It's okay if you cut these too long, it doesn't matter. We're going to trim the edges off anyway. And we're just going to cover it this way, sticky side down now. See, that's much longer than needed, but that's okay. Again, we want to overlap the tape, at least 1/4 inch here. Alright, and we're going to wrap it this way, like that, and we're going to do it 3, or I'm going to do it 3 tape widths wide. I suggest you do that if you're making them to fit, if you want them to fit on dumbbells. It'll probably have to be shorter, but you can cut that down after you're done. So I am going to, you know what, first why don't we trim this off? I'm going to just trim it. Just trim that edge off. Just so I can see what I'm doing there. Now, again, we're going sticky side down now. From now on, sticky side will be down. And we're just going to wrap it at the end. The fastest way to do it is to pull it out like this, and then this is sticky side up, and just roll it back to you. Just try to keep the air bubbles, try to keep wrinkles out of it. I use the Duck brand tape, and I find that it's easy to get the wrinkles out of that one. So you get a nice smooth finish. And we're just gonna continue doing this until it's about maybe an 1/8 inch thick. Alright, so we'll just stop there. So maybe you can see how thick I've gone. You know, just something like that. And then you're going to continue on running it up to that thickness right there, and then move over and run up to that thickness. So work in shifts like that. You don't just put on an inch of thickness. You know, this will be more structurally sound and also a lot easier to work with and cut. So just put on about an 1/8 inch, 1/16 inch, 1/8 inch, and then move on, move over, tape width, and do the whole thing again until it equals what you've just done. Oh, that's sloppy. That was sloppy right there. Just feel when it's the same thickness as your first roll. Cut it off. And then repeat one more time here. So we now have our 3 widths of tape, all the same thickness roughly. Now what we're going to do is we are going to, first we're going to try to get the inside roll out. Again, if you had this roll, you'll have more length, so you'll be able to pull it right out. As for me, let me just try to get this thing out. Alright, vice grips. Get it in there. Oh, make sure you set your vice grips. I'm just going to try to get a hold of this and pull it out. There we go. Alright. Again, you won't have that problem because you'll have a little space on the end to grab it. So, now, it's not sticky inside, remember, because we put the sticky side up when we first started. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to cut down the length of it because, you know, we need the fat grips to open up. This first cut you can do with scissors. As we get thicker and thicker, it just gets too much for scissors unless you have beasts of a scissors. But we can use a hacksaw or some other serrated knives and whatnot. You will probably use a hacksaw, no doubt. Even this first cut, it won't be the easiest as you get towards the middle. It's going to depend on your scissors, I guess. Then we will come out the other side, finish it off. It's okay if you don't get it perfect. like I did right there. Don't fret, it's not going to be a big deal. Alright. Now, you have that cut, let's put the core back in. You know what? I'll put that one in. Oh wait, that one might be a little thicker. I didn't do a good job with that one, did I? I did not. Alright, I guess I'll use this one. But what I'm going to do, because mine isn't long enough, I'm just going to hang it at the end. And it'll have enough support to do that. So, now we want to run tape this way again. We're going to tape this. You know, we're going to hold that tight as we tape across. We're just going to run probably 2 layers of tape that way. So like I said, it's easier to cut if you're going shift. So a little bit going this way, then 2 layers going this way. And then, once again, we are going to start off wrapping like this again. Start the edge. And we are going to wrap again at 1/16 to an 1/8 inch thick again. You can see thickness building up. It will be really hard. It won't be squishy or anything. If you roll it tight. You should be rolling it tight. Did I mention that? And it's just going to be a solid mass of duct tape when we're done. Move over one. Do it again. I don't like that. That's sloppy. That's sloppy right there. once again, we have finished that, so we are going to pull out our core. Then we are going to, I don't know if you can see, look down and find the seam that we cut before. And we are going to use scissors to snip the edge. Down that seam so we get it marked on that side. And we'll do the same thing on this side. I'm going to trim this off. Okay, find the seam right there. So now we have it marked there. Now, this is probably going to be a hell of a workout to try to cut through that with scissors. So instead, I'm going to use a saw. Hacksaw. This works, I found, to work incredibly well. The serrated part is what really does the cutting. The duct tape will not gum this up. With the hacksaw, when you're cutting through the tape, the adhesive will start to gum up to the blade. Makes it a little less effective. Doesn't happen with this. If you don't have one of those, you could use anything that has serrated teeth on it. But to start, I like the hacksaw, because you can line it up to your two marks and you can get that straight line. So I'm going to start cutting around that corner. And hold on, that one might not be cut perfectly. I'm going to mark this one again here. And as I'm cutting on this corner at an angle, I'm going to keep the blade in line with this mark so that I know my strokes are a straight line then. All I'm doing is just watching, keeping this part of the blade over that mark. And this is, of course, held in place because it's cutting into the thing. And then I will show you how this one I would work with. Again, trying to work on that serrated part. Watch your fingers if you're doing this one. Be careful. Keep your hand out of the way. And watch so that you don't cut the under edge either. I really like this one, makes short work of things. And you see, getting there. Then we're going to repeat the entire process over and over again. We're going to wrap it a couple layers this way, and then we're going to start wrapping that way. Then, when we're done that, we're going to snip to mark our edges, then either use the hacksaw or the knife to cut through again. It's just going to keep getting thicker and thicker and thicker until it is the thickness we want. I'm almost out of duct tape. I'm going to finish all this up, and you don't have to watch all that, so we'll just warp drive to that point in time. No TARDIS needed, by the way. No TARDIS for that. And I am done. Only thing left to do is put masking tape over it to give it a bit more grip, like this one. I don't know where my masking tape is, so I will have to hunt that down first. I'm not going to lie, the process is a bit tedious. It probably took me about 3 hours to make both of these. That's for the pair at least. But I guess if you watch TV while you're doing it, it might not be so bad. This has been Carl for Homemade Strength, and thanks for watching. Now go make these.